Welcome to the Self-Growth Nerds podcast. I'm your host, Marie, a courage coach, creative soul, and adventure seeker. Since through hiking the Pacific Crest Trail in 2019, I'm on a mission to help you embrace your most confident self so you can achieve your dreams too. If you're eager for deep conversations, big questions, and meaningful connections, join me on the quest to discovering how we can create a more magical and memorable life. Hello, nerds. How are you? I'm good. Today is a very different kind of episode. I don't have any notes, and it's a very personal share that I want to attempt. To be honest with you, at the time where I'm recording this, I don't know if I'm going to share the episode, but I just thought I would record it and decide afterwards. So if you're listening to this, it means I've decided I felt safe enough to do so. I feel like I'm in a liminal space. And by liminal space, I love the definition that the author of the book I'm reading right now, the book is called The Perfectionist's Guide to Losing Control. By the way, it's so good. I've been highlighting half of it. It's by the author Catherine Morgan Schaffler. I think that's how you pronounce her name. She describes a liminal space as a state of transition. Quote, "You have left one place and you're near the entrance of the next, but you're not quite there yet." The primary challenge in a psychologically liminal space is to allow yourself to feel empty. When you block, and that's still, I'm quoting from the book, when you block your emptiness from existing, you block your potential from developing. You have to let go of the parts of you that you've outgrown, hence the emptiness. That's why you feel the emptiness, because you've outgrown parts of you and you have to be at peace with, and that's me now interpreting what she wrote. You have to be at peace with the time it's going to take for you to feel filled up again, for you to have clarity again. She also adds, quote, "You have to allow yourself to exist in between dichotomies without putting pressure on yourself to pick a side." So the reason why I felt hesitant about sharing this episode is because sometimes I love to come back on an experience after the fact when I've processed what has happened and I've grown from what has happened and I have lessons to share, learnings to share. And right now I'm in the middle of it. So this is an experiment. I want to share what it's like to be in the middle. I don't have answers. I'm just going to share a state of being and thoughts that I've had. I'm going to talk about mental health, and I'm also going to talk about work in that order. So if you don't want to hear about mental health, just please know that that's coming. So let me walk you through what's been going on for me. I started the year with a very specifically planned quarter. I love to plan 3 months ahead of time. And my whole goal for the year was to focus on my coaching program, Brave and Bold, and to work with 60 clients in that program. So I was going to open the program for enrollment in the first quarter, 4 times throughout the year. One in March. So right now, I wanted to welcome new clients in for a 6-month journey. The year started off really well. I was really excited, doing everything on my plan. And then the closer I was getting to the enrollment period, the more resistance I felt, like almost as if I was walking backwards, like telling myself you have to keep going. But like whole swaths of me, to use Cheryl Strayed's words, whole swaths of me did not want to keep moving in that direction. And I couldn't pinpoint why. I was telling myself, is it because you're scared? Because if you're scared, you get to be courageous. Like, yes, this is really important to you, and it makes sense that you'd have fears. but you can do this. You're capable of doing this. Just keep moving forward. But it felt a little different. I've been scared before. I've had to be courageous before. And this felt different. But I kept doing what was on my schedule as best as I could, even though it started feeling very much out of alignment. And then I hit a wall. I got the flu, pretty bad flu for a week. Now looking back on it, I think maybe it was my body's way of forcing me to stop. And then after the flu, for about another week, I had feelings of depression that changed every day, different flavors of mental health struggles. And I get that before my period. It's been the case for about 5 years ago or 6 years ago, I'm not sure now. I started seeing a therapist because I would get feelings of very intense feelings of depression for like 3 days when I was PMS. And this is on and off. And that week, a few weeks ago, was the most intense I'd ever experienced. And I'm not going to go too much in details, but I'm going to share a few examples. There were days where I felt so much brain fog that trying to work was like trying to drive a car in a storm. Like I had access to maybe 10% of my capacity and my intelligence and my creativity, and my whole, when you're trying to see through the windshield of your car in a snowstorm, it takes so much energy, so much effort. So there were days like this. Then there were days like the inside of my mind, my inner landscape was like a battlefield. It was brutal, like thoughts of self-hatred. And I just couldn't stand to be inside my mind. So I tried to distract myself. But then there were moments of panic where I just literally physically felt like I was being chased by a lion. My nervous system was so activated, and I found it super challenging to calm down. And then I would say the third ways it showed up is emotional numbness. So feeling like disassociated from myself, pretending to be me, acting as me, but not really being there. Like just as if there was like a piece of glass between me and reality. No, that's not the best analogy. Just like, I don't feel like I'm here, but I know I have to act like I know how to be me, so I'm just gonna be me, but I'm not me, and I just on those days looked forward to going to sleep. So I was telling one of my doctor friend about this, and she said, Marie, this sounds a lot like what's called premenstrual dysphoric disorder. Now, I had never heard of that. And by the way, just keep in mind, I don't have a diagnostic. I haven't seen a doctor officially. So that's what I meant when I was telling you I'm talking to you in the middle of this journey. So please don't take anything take everything with a grain of sand. I'm just telling you about what I'm experiencing, and I don't need any advice. I'm very well supported. I know what I have to do, but I just wanted to let you in because I think vulnerability is important, and I think knowing that not everyone has their shit together all the time is also important in normalizing. Okay? So, she said it sounds a lot like PMDD, which I had never heard about. And I went to listen to podcasts. Turns out when you write that down in Spotify search, there's a bunch of podcasts on the topic. And it's described as, it's like a PMS, but severe PMS. And so I started listening to podcasts from scientists and from people that live with PMDD and felt so seen and so deeply understood for the first time in a long time. It made me feel like I was not crazy, like it's not your fault that you're going through this. There's like a word for it. There's an explanation. And there's not a lot of research done on that. There's some researchers working on it in Germany, but it's still in the beginning. Like it was added as an official disorder in the manual, the DSM manual in 2016. So it's still very new. And again, I don't know if that's what it is, but it felt so validating to listen to those podcasts and to hear in other people's words what they felt like and how that applied to what I felt. Like, for example, one of them said it's very hard to see the difference between what your brain tells you and reality. And that's what I had explained to my partner many times, because like this happens every month before your period, okay? And I'd explained to my partner, like, it's my brain is telling me so many mean things, and it takes a very conscious effort for me to make the difference between, okay, this is what's happening in my brain and this is reality. Like, and I've managed to control that for 2 to 3 days. Like, okay, I know this is what happens every month. I know this, and just not listen. Like, the goal is to not listen to my brain for this period of time, but it takes conscious effort, and then sometimes it's just too much. But yeah, being able to make the difference between what's going on inside and reality. And I have so many mindset tools. I was trained as a coach. I coach clients all the time. I know how to do this, but there's a difference between like regular day-to-day life and when you feel like you're how can I say this? Like you're controlled by a demon almost. And something else that I heard in one of the podcast episodes is that during that time, you want to leave. You want to leave your life. You want to leave your partner. And when I say leave your life, I don't necessarily mean die. I had no suicidal ideation. Some people do, though. So some people die because of PMDD and the suicidal ideation that brings them. There's different levels of severity, right? I didn't get there, but I had thoughts of like, oh, I want to move away. I want to leave my partner. And of course, like, you might think to yourself, well, my partner gets on my nerves as well when I'm PMS, okay? It's like challenging to draw the line between PMS and PMDD. And I'm not a mental health professional. I'm not a doctor. But from what I gather, there's a list of symptoms, and if you have a certain number of them, then it qualifies for PMDD. The way I say it, qualifies for PMDD, is like, sounds like I'm qualifying for a sports team, and it's a good news. Anyway, the reason why I want to talk about this, one of the reasons, is because if I'd heard about that before, it would have rang a bell for me, and I would have gone to look into it. And apparently it affects 3 to 8% of women or people with menstruation. So based on that statistic, I have about 1,100 listeners every week. And so that means there might be 30 of you listening to this who are experiencing this without knowing. Okay, so that's why. Again, I'm not a medical professional, so please, don't take my word for it, but it's just like giving you a hint, maybe. And also because many people who have PMDD apparently get diagnosed with some other mental health, get misdiagnosed with another mental health diagnostics. So that can just be helpful, like an added piece of data that you can bring to your doctor just to explore. And And another thing that I heard in one of the podcasts I listened to is this woman was talking about how you feel so disconnected from yourself when that happens, that it's just so challenging to connect with others. Like you don't know how to connect with others because you're disconnected from yourself, but you can still. And I read about this in The Perfectionist Guide to Losing Control. You can still choose connection even if you feel disconnected. And looking back, this is what I did. I chose connection even if it didn't bring me wellness in the moment. I went to play badminton with my partner and his brother. I spoke with friends. And there's this concept in the book that I learned as well called parasocial relationships. And that's when you feel super close to like a TV character. Let's say you're a fan of Friends. You might feel connection with a character in Friends. You might feel connection with a podcast host. Like you might feel connection with me, but we don't know each other. These are called parasocial relationships. And while they cannot replace real relationships, they are still really important and can bring you a lot of peace when you're struggling. Well, anytime, but especially when you're struggling, which made me smile when I read about this, because when I was on my worst day, I was in the bath listening to Tara Brach, which she's like my parasocial BFF, not BFF, but she's like my go-to when I feel panicked, when I feel disconnected, because she's so calm and she brings me back to myself. I think actually that's an important part of growth, is how well you're able to reach out for support when you're feeling bad. So I think I was pretty good at asking for help during that week. I surrounded myself well. I expressed my needs, and I saw my therapist. I got coached. Still, it was hard, and hard doesn't go away. Like the human experience is hard, but if you can get better at asking for help, I think that's an important part of growth. Anyway, back to work and my thoughts around what I was going to do next. So when I came out of that dark period, I was supposed to open Brave and Bold for enrollment. I had planned to do live workshops to explain my framework. I had organized a client panel with previous clients of mine, and I just couldn't, I was looking at my schedule and I was like, if I'm going to do this, it's going to be a performance. I'm going to have to, I know I can. I know what to say, what questions to ask. I know I can do it, but I'm going to have to hold up a facade because this is not where my heart is at. And I decided, you know what? I can do it and I don't want to. That's really powerful thought. That's a powerful thought with my clients as well. Realizing like when you tell yourself, oh my God, I can't do this. Most often you probably can, and you get to choose, actually, yes, I know I can, but I don't want to. This makes me think, and I'm going on different tangents today, but this is the kind of episode we got today, okay? This makes me think of a client who was talking about how she's going to sell prints, illustrations that she makes, and she went to the printmakers and the quality of the prints was not up to her standards. And so she was saying like, I cannot sell this. And she was telling the printmaker, like, I cannot sell this. And I offered to her, when you say this, it's up for debate because this other person can say, yes, you can. Because objectively, you can. You can sell anything, even if it was like a 2-year-old drawing on a piece of tablecloth. I don't know. You can sell anything. When instead, if you say, I don't want to sell this doesn't meet my expectation, this is not open for debate. No one can have a debate with what you want or don't want. I don't want to sell this instead of I can't sell this. See the difference? So I was looking at what was coming up for me, enrollment of clients, and when I enroll clients, it's a 6-month commitment, right? So I was looking at what was coming, and I decided I can do this, but I don't want to hold a facade right now. And don't get me wrong, I love my job. I love my clients. I love coaching. But there was something in me telling me to slow the F down. My therapist said, why don't you just take a week off? And I replied to her at this point, and it was almost like I didn't think about it. It just came out of my mouth. I said, at this point, I think I need a month at least. And she says, why not? And that question, why not? Why not? Why the hell not? I had not even allowed myself to consider that. I mean, I've been coaching full time for 2 years. And I didn't consider that I could, slow down and take a break. And so when we opened that possibility, it was like opening my eyes. It seems so obvious now when I look at it, but it was not it was not an option for me. I was just going to keep going and going and going. So I said to myself, okay, let's just sleep on it, sleep on it for the weekend. And then on the Monday, I opened up a document in Notion and I called it the Monday of Decisions. And I wrote at the top, and I really recommend that you try this too if you feel like there are decisions you need to make that you're avoiding. I wrote down, what would I do? What would I decide if I trusted myself completely? And I had so much clarity. It just all came out. I told myself you don't have to do it, but just ask yourself, if I trusted myself completely, what would I do? And there was everything was there in front of me. I just needed to act on it. So I contacted everyone that needed to be contacted. I canceled what needed to be canceled, and I brought down my schedule to a minimum, which is okay. I still have 5 one-on-one clients that I love and that I want to keep coaching. I have this podcast, and I have my newsletter that I write every week. So that's about 8 hours of work in a week. By the way, if you want to sign up to my newsletter, just give me your email. Find me on Instagram, go to the link in my bio, or DM me, give me your email. I write very personal, in-depth content every week for my newsletter. Like telling you how to break up with a friend, like stuff maybe that I don't feel as comfortable sharing on social media, I will share in my newsletter. Anyway, so these are my 3 remaining commitments: my one-on-one clients, my newsletter, and you podcast listeners. And I don't know what's next. I don't know. And I don't know how long I'm slowing down for. This is what I meant when I said I'm in a liminal space. Maybe I will start Brave and Bold again, renew my commitment, and start Brave and Bold again, because it's a amazing program that I love, that's brought so much transformation. Like I was talking because I had lots of Brave and Bold members finishing recently. I was asking them what was the impact of the program in their life, and some of them just started crying, and one of them said, I don't have the words for it right now, but it's been a transformation at my core. Like I'm still the same person, but at the same time, I'm not. I see myself and I see the world differently. It's been so transformative. And yeah, when I told my clients that I was pausing Brave and Bold, some of them, got emotional. Like, what's going to happen with all the content and everything that you've created? Like, this is sad. I said, I don't know. But I trust that whatever is coming next is going to be just as magical, actually more more magical? Is it going to be Brave and Bold version 3.0? Is it going to be something else? I don't know. I know that my purpose is to help people step into their truth, step into the bravest version of themselves, and that will remain my purpose. What shape is it going to take? I don't know yet. And I think it's very, very healthy to be okay with not knowing, be okay with the emptiness, as I shared earlier. Part of me was worried because I love change, because I love new beginnings. Part of me was worried, like I was telling myself, is this me being scared to commit? Is it me trying to like keep myself from more success? Am I just afraid? Am I just like running back to the cave, just wanting to start something new again because that's more comfortable? That's a question that I asked myself. And maybe it is, maybe not. Right now, that's not what it feels like. But I want to give myself the space to reflect on that. And I actually realize how lucky I am, how privileged I am to be able to give myself that space. But because I have that privilege, I'm going to take it. And I know some of you also could give yourself that permission, but you don't, because we live in a culture where it's celebrated to know, to push forward, to stay disciplined, to stay committed. And sometimes maybe there's strength. No, not maybe. Remove maybe. Sometimes there is strength in decommitting. And I want to read to you a thread from Xavier Dagba on Instagram that goes like this. A huge component of staying in integrity with your word has to do with learning when it's time to consciously decommit. Your word is meant to be an outlet of expansion, not another form of prison for your soul. There are moments where you realize that choices you once made no longer reflect who you have become. That's a natural aspect of human evolution. Very often, staying in integrity with your word demands renegotiating or removing yourself from past agreements. Consciously decommitting isn't about running from responsibilities you previously agreed to. It's about honoring when a commitment is now chronically depleting your spirit. It's about embracing the responsibilities and consequences that come with choosing to remove yourself. It's important to remember that you are not a prisoner of your past choices, especially when they have been made from lower levels of self-realization. Your word is supposed to be something that holds you to higher standards, not a hindrance for your soul. You are an evolving being. It is not just okay to change your mind as you grow. It is necessary to remain open to that possibility, not as a way to escape responsibilities, but as a way to honor new levels of self-realization. This is so profound to me. This is so profound to me, and I trust that you will know where you are at. Because it is real that some of us just love to jump from one thing to the other and not commit because it's just more comfortable that way. So being able to be honest with yourself, am I trying to escape, or am I just catching up to, am I just aligning with a new evolution of who I am becoming? So this is where I'm at. Like I said, I don't have answers. I want to give myself the space for answers to bubble up to the surface. And I just trust that whatever's coming next is going to be magnificent. So if you're in a liminal space, or if you're needing to be in a liminal space and you're resisting it, I want to welcome you or invite you to consider joining me in your own liminal space. It's safe to be here, no matter what people think. Like, I don't care right now. Some people might judge my decision. Some people might make it mean that I've given up, that I'm flimsy or unreliable or whatever, but I know deep down what I'm experiencing. I know my heart better than anyone else does. And so I couldn't give a fuck what. I laughed like naughty, like I was being naughty. I don't care what people might think about my decision, because it feels so damn right for me where I am right now. And also, a previous client of mine, Kate, she said in the DMs, we were having a conversation, she said, it's crazy how much mind drama goes away when you're in alignment. And this is what I'm experiencing right now. I'm experiencing so much inner peace. And I made quite a big mistake a few days ago. And I felt so much peace, like that I don't think past me would have experienced in that situation. So yeah, a lot of mind drama just disappears when you are in alignment. All right, that's it for this episode. Now that we're at the end, I actually decided that I'm gonna share this episode. While you're listening to this, I'm in Miami. I'm in Florida. I have a work convention and then spending a week with my parents and my partner, Ollie. Maybe we'll go to Disney. I don't know. And it's in my cycle, the week right before my period. So I'll gather more information about what happens to be able to get clarity about what's going on with me. And if you want to reach out, again, like I said, I don't need advice. I have doctors, I have a therapist, I have coaches. But if you want to share stories, if you've been through something similar and you want to tell me about it, feel free to do so. I'm on Instagram at self-growth-nerds. I would love to hear from you. And otherwise, I wish you a beautiful week. And if it's a painful week for you, I wish you the strength to ask for help and to get the support that you deserve. All right. Lots of love. Bye. If you love what you're hearing on the Self-Growth Nerds podcast and you want individual help finding a new direction for your life and developing the courage to make your dreams a reality, you have to check out how we can work together on selfgrowthnerds.com or message me on Instagram at selfgrowthnerds. My clients say they would have needed that support years ago. So if you're tired of feeling like you're wasting your life, don't wait. Get in touch now, and I cannot wait to meet you.